Hello, hello.
Coach
Happy
K, what's up?
Thursday.
What's up? Happy Thursday. I am struggling. You use Apple or Samsung?
I
Or
use Apple, but my husband has Samsung.
well, I want to connect to an iPad, but it's saying it doesn't open StreamYard on Safari on
Oh
Chrome.
yeah,
You have to
the
open it on Safari.
I guess so. On the iPad or on the phone, you have to do, I believe, Safari, but on my MacBook it says
Uh-huh.
Chrome. So
I
it's
just did it
like,
on Chrome, and it said you want to copy this link and open in Safari. And
yeah, because
now I feel like an
I
old man because then I can't find Safari. I'm like, I don't know, just open the app.
yeah,
Uh,
I've struggled doing it on. I've never tried on
that's
my iPad
crazy.
actually.
I
Well,
wonder if I even deleted Safari. But I'll just talk on the phone here for a second. What's
no,
going
you're
on
good.
in your world?
No, you're good. I'll take the reins while you get that. Not much. Let's see. Not a whole lot. I wanted to say real quick, hello to Sir
Hmm.
Hale and Lou Medic is in the chat. Hello,
Oh,
hello.
welcome, you guys. I apologize. I can't say hi to you at that quick second, but I will in a moment.
No, you're
So
good.
thank you for being
Sir
here.
Hale's at the gym.
Oh, he is? Oh, he's doing a
He
trade moment,
says
huh?
he's
He's getting it
listening
in, huh?
from the gym.
Oh, good. Good. It's going to be exciting. Actually, I meant to follow up with him, but I'll be talking to him tomorrow. I wanted to tell him about the rest of my comment, but I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautifully animated in the house. She says Apple
Hey,
equals
what's up?
Safari.
Apple people,
Yeah.
what?
She says Apple equals Safari. But yeah, I don't
Oh yeah,
know.
now it's open. I mean, I guess it's letting me sign in, so we'll see what happens.
On Safari or
Yeah.
Chrome. Okay.
Well,
Hmm.
on Safari, yep.
Okay.
I should have been more
Um,
prepared, but I'm sorry. Okay.
no, you're good. I had some
Who else
tech
is in the
stuff
chat?
tonight too. Um, we have, well, CBN, our producer in the back,
Yes,
and I
yes,
know
yes.
Black Women Filter is also listening, of course. But how's your week been? Your day? It's almost the weekend.
It's been decent. It's been pretty busy. Actually, I had court today and I have court tomorrow. Testimony for a
Expert?
client. Yeah. Well, one was an expert. One is a because I was their treatment provider. I don't like doing
Interesting.
those because I have to. I tell them I know nothing. I know nothing.
Yeah.
because well, one, you can get sued from your, even though they're a client. I mean, they're my client, but they're in the court system. And I get up there yapping about what they've been talking about, and they can take me to court. They don't usually win, but it's a very close call for people. So I
So
really dumb
I
it down.
I bet that's really sticky situation because of that's under HIPAA still, right?
Yes, but the subpoena
Oh.
overrides HIPAA.
Ooh.
Yeah, but
That's
what clients will
interesting.
do, because my clients are either sex offenders or murderers, have high I won't say high crime, violent
Violent.
crimes. And so what they do is their lawyer will subpoena me to say, you've been working with the client, isn't he okay? Or the prosecutor will
Mm.
hire me to say, or bring me on to say,
Poke holes
they're
in
all
the
kind of messed up. Yeah, shouldn't we keep them and da 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 and tell us like, because they're not the clinical people, they don't have anything, so they need us to kind of give them the reasons on why they should.
Ooh.
So, but I have people who default and they're court ordered, so they have to go, and they
Right.
default, and so that's between them and the PO, and then the PO pull. Can't think of the word, but they restructure them, and so I have a client like that, and they were like, tell us." I'm like, oh, well, didn't you kick him out? Oh, ooh, well,
You I don't know
are
if you
you
can
the
say it now,
provider?
but are you allowed to have do you bring your notes or no? You're supposed to do it on
See my
memory?
notes. Yeah, my notes that go in the computer for
Yeah, they're
like
protected and
insurance
stuff.
companies and all that, they're very vague. The client showed up and had a good conversation because
Mm.
insurance people are reading it. Hell, the damn maintenance people might be like the computer, like the program maintenance people might. You never know who's going to see the notes, even though they're protected. So they're very generic, very, very
You
generic. They did the
you
session. Hmm? Yeah, I mean,
sorry. Do
yeah,
you
I
take
keep
your own,
them.
like, soap notes,
Yeah,
I
so I
guess?
take notes, but as far as the treatment plan, like we'll update the
Mm.
treatment plan, and they
Mm.
worked on this, they worked on that. But as far as those more deeper conversations, because my clients might tell me if they reoffended,
Mm.
and then pending what they tell me, either we work together. I like to have a collaboration. Hey, whoa, we gotta, let's
That's
do
a
this together.
bre right. Breach of
Or,
is
yep,
that the breach of confidence?
well,
Okay.
nope, because
Oh.
the POs, any of those people, they have to sign
Mm.
releases. They can't do it without. But still, my
Wow.
goal is I don't do the punitive side. So if you make a mistake, I'm a little
Mm.
slow before I rush to the PO. That's that because POs they do the punitive side. So I'm very slow unless you have a straight up re-violation, like you offended again or really hurt someone. If you would just, hey man, I was thinking deviant the other day. What? What's the big? He's thinking next?
Right.
No, I'm not gonna do all
Right,
that.
right, right.
So, but by the time that stuff
Wow.
piles up, and then you have these prosecutors like, tell us. I'm like, oh, ah, ooh, ah. But then
Right.
where that works against me is because then if the defense hires me, and it happens to be either the same county or prosecutor, they're like, well, you didn't know shit last week.
All
You-
right.
who,
Yeah. Because then
he's
you
gonna
get to
say
kinda
what?
know
Yeah,
the
yeah,
county
yeah.
people and stuff.
Right, right.
So and you probably knew this. I mean, this is probably a side of it when working with, the population in the, I guess the forum that you do, I guess,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
this
So in
comes
forensics, yeah, this comes with it.
forensic. Okay.
At first, I was excited. I was gonna have my moment of Your Honor, no, you know. But what I found out by trial and error, I wanted to
Trial and error,
hear.
literally.
Yeah, yeah,
Trial.
yeah. No, yeah, no, pun intended. Yeah, yeah, pun intended.
Right.
I wanted to hear what the outcome was going to be, so I stayed. When my part was over, I
Oh.
stayed in the audience. Ooh, at any
Ooh.
given time, they can call you right. Oh, he's still here. Good, come on back.
Oh, they can?
And yes, and it didn't hurt me that time, but I was so confused. Like, huh? I thought he did my part. And that lawyer was good. He was eating me up. Well, don't you remember what you just said? It was just an hour ago. I was like, oh shit, um,
R
it
Right, like,
totally
I've
threw
been
me off. So when my part's over, I leave.
mm,
And then if you watched, and I hate to bring this case up, did you see the George Floyd? Not George Floyd, the
jo
officer, the George
um
Charvin,
oh, Derek Chauvin.
Chauvin.
I
Thank you.
I did not, but
All right.
I did watch Johnny Depp, but
Oh, okay.
because they did have
The guy
different
who.
clinicians there, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, they did. That's right. Because she
Yeah,
had
but you
her
know how
psychologist, right? She had.
yeah,
Yep, yep.
yeah, but then they brought in
Yeah,
other expert witnesses to kind of, like, poke holes or whatever, but go ahead
yep,
with the,
yep.
Derek Chauvin.
So Chauvin's case.
Yeah,
I wasn't on it, but the guy who stood, if you remember any of the video stuff, the guy who stood there who knows martial arts, who kept saying, "Hey man, get off of him! You're a punk, man." That guy.
yeah.
If you watch his testimony, that's how I used to be. Now, in
Oh,
his case, of course, he's very defensive. Like, wait, because you're not going to poke holes through my stuff. I was right there. I know what happened. No matter what you say now, that's bullshit. I know a knee. So he was very. You're not going to try and make me look stupid. You're not going to ask. You just asked me that question. I'm not right. So very.
right.
But I was doing that as an expert witness. You know, I mean, like I was just that.
Mm,
Yeah, you tried to. Yeah, and
right.
look like
I
a
bet
fool.
I bet
Look like a fool.
doctors can kinda be like that when I think, and I kinda try to give them grace, but, like, when you go in,
Hmm.
trying to do your own advocacy research because 'cause I'm the patient,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna see, I know they only have so much time, and it's like, I'm not trying to, like, test them, but I'm also, like, saying, "Well, I looked into this," and it's like, I'm not just Google, what do they say, WebMD or whatever, but
Oh
they
yeah,
can
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
get defensive a little bit, and it's like,
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
questioning your but it might be
right,
but they are questioning them in a trial, right?
yes. And I used to get
Whoa.
caught in that. In fact, my name in my PhD. So let's say you're the judge, and
Yeah,
I'm over here on the stand.
yeah,
And I'm the attorney. Me right now, I'm the attorney. You're the judge, and Dr. Nakumbe is over here on the
yeah,
witness
yeah,
stand.
yeah.
So he's looking at the judge. So your name is your name is Dr. Nakumbe. Nakumbe. Did I say that correct? I'm like, who are you talking to? because I'm over here. But he's
Who?
looking at,
Him?
and where's your degree from? So you went to Adler. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, but it was smooth because I was over there steaming like what the. Then I started jabbing back because he said. So I went to Southern Cal for like 2 quarters, 2 terms, or a term for the social work program. But
Oh,
then I
really?
switched to Adler. But I was so proud of my little Southern Cal, like I was using my email for everything. But then I wanted to get into a black school. I'm like, man, I gotta find. But I didn't want to move. And so I'm like, oh, so really, do I really want to find? And I was comforted in my little zone and stuff. But I said, I
Yeah,
got to have
yeah.
some more. If I'm doing the clinical stuff, clinicals, I want more cultural pieces to it. So
Mhm.
Adler in Chicago, Illinois, they have a school. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll
Okay.
go there. So I left Southern Cal program for the social work and went to Adler. Anyway, I was so proud to say that. And then
Right.
not even thinking how foolish I sound when I said, he said, well, can you tell us for the record, where's your education from? I was like, Southern Cal University. I mean,
Oh.
I did a quarter there.
Oh, shoot.
Oh my gosh, how stupid! But it was those are the learning pains. I'm like, yeah, that was genius. But anyway, my whole point was that I had to learn. In fact, here's what I end up with. So when I go into a courtroom, I get into a psychological chess match. If you win a single point, like a volley, if you win a
Mhm.
single point in a chess move, you lose. If you win a single point, you lose. We are not here for competition. We are not here to
Mm,
prove. You are not here for
mm,
your ego. You are not
mm.
here if you walk in there. Because when I walk in, I mean, I bust in the upper room just in my mind. I'm
Right.
slow, like in slow motion. Where's doctor? All ego and just crazy. And is that all? I mean, I get on to the theatrics when it's over. You can step down now. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'd would like shake
So
my coat out,
yes,
like, I don't know.
and now I go in. All right. If you win a single point, if you let your ego get in the way, if you talk shit back, because when I talked to the guy was like, "Oh, so you have your PhD?" And I was like, "Yeah, where's yours?" Not
Right.
a
Right.
lawyer. Their JD is a doctorate. So I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
so now they ask all kind of crazy questions. Your name is Nakamboka? Sure. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's what you heard. Nakamboka it
Right.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I wouldn't
So
even be
anyway,
able to I wouldn't be able to have a straight face. But that's interesting though,
yeah,
because even like being a coach, I have to come in. I don't have to, but of course I do. And remember that it's not about me. It's not about trying to prove
absolutely.
anything or what I think is right. And that's why I tell people as a coach, I don't tell people what to do. Now, if it's a
Right.
teenager, of course, I'm gonna make suggestions maybe, like, if I have
Hmm.
a client like, I had a
Hmm.
client go over to, France, and I said, "Just be careful, make sure you're with if you're going out or whatever," things like that, but
Right.
if they're making a decision, I don't tell them what to do because it's not for me to know. I don't know. They're
Right.
the perfect person to decide what happens in their life,
What they do
not
for
me.
themselves. Yes,
So
exactly.
I gotta keep my we call it,
Yep.
holding space or, like,
Oh
cleaning out
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah. Holding
mind.
space.
You say
Yep,
holding
yep. It's
space
not
too?
about
Yeah.
you. Yep. It's holding space, not about me. People say, "Well, you're a professional." I say, "Well, I don't care what they call it. That's what but but I
Right.
may be,
Right.
but it's really you're the professional. You really know. I'm just here to guide you." That's why some of them get mad at me. Like, I spent $100 for this. I spent $200 for that. This will cost. Yeah, I mean, but you're paying for time and blah blah blah. But
Right.
just seconds, I'm gonna switch now. You might see me twice. Speaking of that, let's give
Yeah.
some shout outs and also welcome people here. Welcome people to the call today where we're actually offering opportunity to bring up any issues, comments, thoughts, questions you may have that we can help
Mhm.
address. Remember, we won't be uh, prescribing, just only describing things and
Right.
situations. We'll offer you some tips. I'm hesitant to even say solutions, but we'll offer you some. That's kind of the buzzword now, because then if it's not a solution, then I don't want to say that we failed. But as a community here, we'll offer you some ideas and some tips, and then you can always turn those into whatever solutions you think are the best. We'll invite people up, but before we do, if there are any questions right here in the chat, that's what we want to get to. we normally have our regulars come up, but instead of the regulars who come up, so our kind of community members, our regulars, want to see if there are people who actually don't come up, but they have some very significant questions that they would like addressed, and then we'll open it up and bring in those whoever wants to come up that are our kind of regulars. Um, any thoughts about that, Coach K? Does that sound about? And I'm switching devices here.
Yeah, it all sounds good to me. I hope, definitely, I don't know about you, I'm sure you're the same way, but I love questions. So please, now is the time for sure. If we can help you provide insight in any way, definitely come up and join. Um,
Absolutely. Let's see. I am backstage, but I don't see anybody, so I don't know what that means.
well, I
Do you
do
see me
see.
twice? I mean,
Oh
not because
no,
I'm a big guy, but you see me twice.
no, I only
Uh,
see you once.
I
Shout out
don't
to
see
T
anything.
Shaw. You'll see. Oh,
I don't see anything. So I'm just gonna have to stay on my phone. Hopefully you can see a good view of me, but this thing is not showing me anything. And I even plugged it. This is not even Cricket Mobile or nothing. This is just
are there any like um content like pop-up blockers or anything? I don't know if those
oh,
are
possibly.
on
I don't normally use
for an
Safari, so I have
iPad.
zero idea.
I
I'm gonna
don't.
leave it. This works. I don't want to eat up too much more time, so I'll go with
I mean,
this.
I can see you good as long as you're like comfortable, but you're good.
Yep. I mean, I have a
I'm here.
makeup and stuff on. Can you? I mean, am I? How am I?
I think so. I think your
Yeah,
lighting and
yeah,
everything's
yeah.
good.
All right. Good.
No, it's
All
all
right, we'll
good.
roll with it. We'll roll with it. And I can't see the chat though. So,
I gotcha. I'll
all right,
I'll keep
good,
an eye
good. Thank you. Teamwork,
on our
teamwork.
folks.
Thank you. While you're
Let's
looking at stuff, welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Dr. Nakumbe with Coach K, and welcome to Breaking the Chains. We love to talk about mental health and also kind of like social issues, what's going on in the world, behavioral concerns, mental health concerns, things that you have concerns and questions about. And we're not just talking about talking points or speaking points or YouTube points and all that business. Really, some underlying behavior, some deeper understanding content, and or the most simplest question, why do I do what I do? We want to help you figure that out. Why do I have the problems that I have? We want to help figure that out. And at the end of the day, so you feel a sense of relief, like, oh, so I'm not the dumb one. I'm not the idiot. I'm not the right. So a sense of relief
Mhm.
and also some ideas or some solutions. So slowly but surely you can start to change those behaviors. We know people don't come to YouTube for like real hardcore therapy or counseling or anything like that. But when they're changing oil or trying to figure out something how to change this or get some insight, people do use YouTube. So we're not in foreign space. You are in the right space and we're more than happy to be able to support you. So welcome everyone who's here in the chat. Thank you, CBN, for working the controls in the back. And Coach
Yes.
K, it's always an honor to see you and work with you. Let's
And
jump in it.
likewise.
Hmm.
All right. Quickly shout out to Lost in Translation podcast. He's in the chat.
Hey, welcome, welcome. I'll give some shout
Okay.
outs. I can't see, but whoever is here, I think you said Lou Medic. I'm trying to think of
Yep.
some folks who I wanted to give some shout outs to. Sir Hale, Lost in Translation.
T Shaw.
Oh, yeah, T Shaw, TEE.
Mm-hmm.
Shaw,
Beautifully animated.
Lady Naveau, she's here, beautiful animated.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Did I miss
Scam,
anyone?
Mandrell, all of our regulars.
Yep.
So
All of.
welcome.
Yep.
All right. Do we have any questions in there by chance? This is
Not
really
currently.
okay.
Yes. If you have any questions, there's Scam. Please
Only the host can
put them in the
see.
chat, or you can come up, um, and hit the link. Um,
This is bootleg.
is it letting you join?
Like I said, the screen is just black. I see me. It says you're backstage. Only the host can see me, but I don't see you or anything on the screen. I'm going to close it. Try something else.
I don't know.
But I know
Um,
that's on Wi-Fi, so I'm going to put my Wi-Fi on. And again, we're open for questions. Please throw them in there. Throw them any questions. What's the conversation for tonight? And the quicker the better, because I know people also leave at. I say that after all that talking I did, but at 8 o'clock, I know people jump over to other shows, and 8:30 and
right.
9 p.m. So I know people jump over to other shows. So we'd love the opportunity to get into some deep conversation here.
Mhm.
Um, Samsung rocks. Yes, it does. Woo-hoo. All right, so I'm
One
gonna use my
thing,
Wi-Fi.
let's
Yes, ma'am.
see. One thing that, because we were talking about, well, at least, of course, any questions are welcome, but mental health and relationships, I think one thing that I have found, not only in my personal life, but working with clients and just listening to these conversations, is when people are dealing with something and their spouse, partner, whoever does not, um, if we want to kind of talk about how to best support them or to maybe ask for support, even though sometimes it's like, oh, I have to ask you how to take care of me. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel as like authentic, but
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, we can't read people's minds, especially when they're going through something, or we've talked about before, if they've grown up and had some of those roots from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
kind of voicing those needs, I guess.
Yep.
If we want to talk
But
about
what
that
if
a little
I
bit,
was
go ahead.
raised? If I was raised on not asking for help.
Right, which I'm reading this book young about teenage girls and young women and how it's kind of the thing nowadays. And actually, too, the author did
Mm-hmm.
mention the African American community, and you can speak to that. And again, this book is about girls, but about
Mm-hmm.
how it's almost, she says specifically African American community, but also girls nowadays too. It's like trying to take care of everything, do everything perfectly
Mm-hmm.
without asking for help, and
Oh,
making
without.
it
Yeah.
look effortless, but really
Yeah.
you're like breaking
And
on
like
the
they're okay,
inside.
right? Right.
Yes. And I thought that was very interesting, that it's almost it's, we perceive that we're going to look weak, or even that goes along with the fixed mindset, like
Yep.
Carol Dweck's, like, if you believe that if you have to try a little bit harder or ask for help, then you're just stupid, or like
Right.
you just don't have it, and I
Right.
think that's interesting. Or
I was
you're
talking
weak.
to Sir Hale the other day, and uh, one of the challenges for people who actually offer help. So one of the challenges who offer help, you, me, anyone, and not even any specific culture or race.
Yeah,
But I think
yeah.
people who, if they don't ask for help and you offer help, some people get offended. Be like, "Oh, I don't need your help." Then we
Mhm.
have the whole gender thing where am I being too misogynistic if I offer help in advance, or like, who I don't need your
Mm.
help, and or if you say something and I quickly jump to help. Actually, I learned at work there was an expression. Someone said to me like, "Oh, keep your dick in your pants." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, what does that mean?"
Dang.
But they were saying men, or in my case, it was about me, that if you had that tendency of like, um, well, I
Trying to.
wonder how this iPad thing is going to work. Oh, here, let me help you. So then that's the part where they're like,
Oh.
calm down. Like, so it's not sexually related. That's why I'm like, why?
Oh.
But
Oh.
it's usually men are solution. If we're saying we like to
Right.
help
Like,
fix
come
things,
in and
right?
yeah.
So, but there's this pushback, and not everyone though. And that's the
Right.
confusing part. Only within the circles people run in. I think you're only going to see what you see. A lot of times in these YouTube streets, I'm hearing people talk about this and talk about that, and it's like, what, where? That's
Mm.
what you see. That's what, and you might have some broader perspective, but you're going to see what you see. So I can't make it so general that every single woman is going to say I don't want your help. And then when I'm trying to appease or adjust, then am I being my authentic self if I really like to help? And
Right.
does your version of asking for help match what I'm used to seeing? So if I
Mm.
don't recognize that's what you're doing, why didn't you just say so? Well, I have for like the last couple of weeks. I've been saying, man, I wish I had someone to talk to. If you said to your husband like, oh, whew, man, I don't feel heard. And he's like, man, that
Right.
sucks. I'll pray for you. And then he gets up and leaves.
Right,
Not,
right.
he said he'll pray for you, but did you feel heard? And I just think there's so many misses. And so anyway, I was talking about the Sir Hill thing where
Yeah.
then there are people who offer help meaning just putting it out there. Actually, Coach K, what you and I are doing, this network has set it up to where you and I can put information out there. If people
Mhm.
latch onto it, great. But then if we say something where people don't believe in it, they don't buy in it, they're like, oh, and then they get in their feelings or they personalize it or they want to justify, or we can be flat out wrong just because it's clinical or almost an imperial, but just because it's evidence based or coaching foundation or whatever that
Right.
is, doesn't
Right.
mean it fits or is 1 billion% correct. But then instead
Right.
of people having that dialogue, it's right. You can't tell me and da da da, and then it's an attack. If it's an attack, is an attack. And I don't know for you, Coach K. I've been in this business for a long time, and I have to tell you, you want to talk about pain. You want to talk about the pain of betrayal. The pain of
Mm.
betrayal when one, your colleagues, co-workers, or people who've been in the streets with you, kind of speak, right?
Mhm.
So when one of them flips on you, switches on you, and a lot of times I say it's not even what one person says, is what the people who know better is when they don't say anything. So it's not so much what you
Mm.
said, it's the other percentage of people who didn't say anything. If you go the religious
Mm.
route, Jesus was there by himself, right? All of his friends were in the bushes, hiding in the
Right.
bushes, looking from a
Right.
distance. Yeah. Now I get it. You might get whipped. You might get whipped also, but there are certain topics, there are certain issues, there are certain things in life. I wonder, is it not worth the fight? And do I have to be so cowardly to push someone else out there for the fight? Watch them get whipped and then not say anything. Is that's equal to turning on them?
Mhm.
But again, so but that all ties into my belief of asking for help. Was like, wow. So there's the group that won't ask. There's the group that will ask, but if you respond a certain way, they feel, they might feel like they're bothering you. They didn't mean to, or the
Mhm.
expectations of the help, the expectations. So you and I charge fees for our services. But how many
Right.
times do you get someone who's like, "Oh, I thought it was free"? It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, but I got to eat tonight, and so the expectations that comes with the help. Can I just ask you a
Right.
question? And that question turns into a 5 hour session, right? Family
Right.
members who, oh, tell me this. Um,
Yeah, or they think I'm trying to coach them, and it's like, actually, no, like,
oh my
I'm
God,
just calling you on your ish.
yes, I got excited. And go ahead, I'll let you cook. I got
No,
excited. I got to
no,
tell you
no,
this. All
go
right.
ahead because I wanna hear what you got on
I'll,
this.
I'll admit, I'll own it. I'll be transparent. I consider
Okay.
myself cursed. All right, and
For
I tell you
what?
because I have human knowledge, or just human. I'm not a genius. There's a couple. Let me back up. There are a couple areas in this whole category of relationships and human behavior. My clients say I'm a surgeon. I'm a psychological surgeon. They tell me all kind of compliments, all kind of you understand me, you get me, you make it make sense. Blah blah blah. Outside of that, I'm just average. But you won't believe how many relationships or relationship opportunities are ruined
Oh.
because if I say once I announce what I do, it's a wrap. Hey, what do you do? I just say I'm a garbage man. I deal with shit all day because the second I say,
I
which is
mean,
true, yeah, yeah, yeah. But the
you didn't
second
ask
I
what
say,
kind.
yeah, counselor, psychologist, mentor, coach, the second I say any of those things, every question after that is you're analyzing me, you're analyzing me, you're analyzing me. Then I thought about it. I'm like, damn, I am a
Mm.
therapist all day long. If I think about it, even if I don't
Oh.
intend to, I can't even watch a regular movie now. Like I'm looking like, did you know every human that one eye is bigger than the other? I can't even watch a regular movie now without seeing the person's. I can see which eye is bigger than it because I do body. I'd read body language for my forensic stuff.
Is that
And
actually side note, is that helpful?
mhm,
Because my dad offered to, like, pay for me to do a course one time, and
mhm.
is that I mean, I'm not in I'm not in forensics, I'm
For
not a
the work
clinician.
that I do, yeah, when
Mm.
I'm working with couples, there's so many assessments that I do that they don't even
Ooh,
know it. A couple comes in and I say,
interesting.
hey, I just want to ask a question, and I hand them a $20 bill, and I just say, oh, who? We'll get to this part later, but we'll just want to. Do you know that one assessment tells me the entire relationship? I can figure it out. Who reaches for the money first? And I ask what they're going to do with the money. Who decides what they're going to do with the money? So I'm already learning who's not so much
The
who wears the
leader?
pants, but the decision maker, the
Mm,
responsible one. I can tell by the looks to each other. I can tell by the one who goes, you say,
right.
yeah. I can see all that. I mean, just all that in the body language. Yep.
Interesting.
All. I mean, just from handing them 1 or 5 or 10, 20. But hey, you guys, I want to show you something about. Did you know there's a spider on every dollar, which is true? Did you know there's a spider on every dollar? And they're like, no, no, no. So hold on for a second, see if I have a dollar. And then whatever denomination I have, it's okay. Actually, book. Yep. Actually, I have a 20, which we talk about that too. Um, yep. So I'm gonna let one of you. I'll let you guys, and then just hand it, and then I can just everything from who takes it. Usually the women,
Uh,
and,
I could
and a
see
lot of
that.
guys who
That's
are
my own
like,
bias.
and so they take it, and then I can tell by the looks when I talk about. We'll get to that in a second. Is that? Do you think that one is real? I watch to see who, like you check, me check,
Interesting.
or even the. So I have about a page worth of data just from this one thing. Uh,
Now,
hmm
I was gonna ask. Oh, I just lost my question. Darn it! I just lost it.
hmm But if it comes back to you, so to answer your question, when would it be beneficial to learn that? That part of it is not even offenders or violent crimes. That part of it is just assessing body language. When people say yes, they're ready. Are you ready to talk about it? I am.
Mm,
All of this means no, but
yeah,
they
or when
verbalize
you
yes. Yeah. So
when you
how do
ask
you
if they
read that?
understand, they're like
Yeah.
they well, and I swear, teenagers and tell me if you have this experience, and God love them, but they want to tell you what you want to hear or what seems right,
What seems
and
right. Yep.
I
Yep.
appreciate that, but I can't help you from that place because I gotta know what's going on, so I
Right.
can tell
Right.
when they're like, is so kind of like that. Have
Yeah.
you experienced
Well,
that?
because you could do things that don't line up. I mean, I can ask things that um
Mhm.
or here when I do a suicide assessment, so I'm a certified board
Mhm.
certified
Mm.
suicide interventionist. And when I do a
Mm.
suicide assessment, so the person that made the report is telling me how this person is going no, sorry, deletion, sorry. The person who
Oh,
told me this is, they're like, they made the report. They bring me in to assess or to intervene. And so a lot of people say, oh, they're just doing it for attention, blah, blah, blah. Couple of questions. Um, oh, hey, what's going on? Da da da. What's up? Is there anyone who I can call for you or talk to? You don't know me. Can we add a person to this? Well, no. I mean, the person I really like there at work, but I can talk to them tomorrow. Now, hint, hint.
mm.
You plan on deleting today. What do you mean when you
Mm.
get to work tomorrow? I don't say anything. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Family. I just miss my kids. I can't wait to go give them a hug. When are you
Mm.
gonna? So if I do the assessment in the jail, if I do it in my private practice, if I even do it in the street, someone's up,
Right.
hey, we need. And I've only done one of those in 10 years, but and they weren't on the pole or anything. But
Uh, I was gonna say, is
it
law
was
enforcement contact you?
yeah. Well, no, no, no. I got lucky. I was just in the right place, wrong time, whatever. Where
Oh,
someone was talking
wow.
about it. Where someone was talking about it,
Oh,
and I just happened
wow.
to hear it, and I was like, whoa. But they
Oh
were
my
arguing
gosh.
as a domestic, and that's another thing. Like, do I really want to get involved? You can get slapped in the face just getting into people's business. But I heard what I was considering bullshit because the guy was like, "I'm gonna just kill myself. I'm gonna delete myself. I
Right,
can't. We
right,
can't be
right.
together. We can't be." And I'm listening like he must be doing that because he was loud enough for everyone in the restaurant to hear conveniently. I mean, he didn't know me and I didn't
Mm.
know him, but I went over like, dude, okay, you know what you're announcing, what you're yelling out? That's a straitjacket
Right,
move right there. You yell that too
right,
loudly, that's a straitjacket move. Well, what the fuck is he? Then he really got tearful and da da da, and so was able to talk him down. So it was nothing where they called me or I was just at the place at the time. So,
right.
and it turned
Wow.
into, but I still think he was doing it about this love thing about this woman.
Right,
So
right,
you want to do this, but at the same time, you're talking about, well, she won't stay with you. Well, there's nothing to stay. You mean she won't come to the funeral? Well, I mean, what is she
mm,
staying? I mean, no, I'm not trying to do that to myself. And da-da-da. So sometimes it
right.
is just and some people really want to do that, but the ones who they double talk or they have contradicting goals, like competing goals. So it's like, So then I go for the more positive goal. Well, let's try and figure out how you can get to work tomorrow. Because the other
Right.
stuff you're talking about won't get you to work.
Right.
Hmm.
Those are I do
Yeah.
like those questions too. And even with myself, I'm doing my own thought work, and there was actually a question here, and this we could tie this in.
Yep.
When they express, or when we're just talking about something, and they're talking about their own, self beliefs and their self criticisms, and how quickly they are to dismiss something because, like, something that is good, but they like to say, "Oh well, but I only got this," and it's like,
Mm.
for example, I'll tell a quick story. I had a client who was didn't think she would make varsity for, soccer. And, we're talking about it, trying to, get her figure out her mindset and I was asking her for what evidence does she have that she
Hmm.
could make it or something like
Hmm.
that. I can't remember my questioning. And turns out last her previous she's a sophomore, so her in freshman year, she actually played during regionals or whatever the tournament was. I
Mm.
said, "You don't that's," I was like, "That's
Right. That's
really
obviously
good
the evidence. Right.
evidence."
Right.
And let's say someone didn't, of course, like,
Yeah.
I was trying to help her with, you know, the belief and the thoughts that were going to help her in the meantime if she wanted to practice, or if,
Hmm.
that would get her believing that she might practice some of the things that she's struggling with. But if you're
Hmm.
not believing, obviously you're less likely to even do anything about it. You're probably going
Right.
to play like crap because, well, I'm not going to make it anyway, therefore fulfilling, so Lou Medic says, how much does the coach or expert get coached weekly, comma monthly?
Hmm.
So if you want to answer
On
first, I
disability,
mean,
for what would they be getting coached on?
I'm wondering, and
Now,
Lou,
does Lou
let us
want to come up?
know.
Lou, you want to come up on the
Yeah.
stage?
Yeah, Lou, let us know. But are you asking for something specific or just in general about having their own, or um get coached? How much does a coach or expert get coached, or do they coach? I don't know. I'll
The
Can you see the
expert
back
does
chat?
do the
I'll put it back there.
do the experts? I think I can see back. Yes. Do the experts get support? Is that what you're saying? How much does the coach or expert get coached weekly or monthly? Oh, so I have. Okay, I don't want to close the page. So X. All right. So for me, I have what's called monthly supervision. So actually, like I
Mm.
see someone who supervises me, and then I'm also what they call LPCC, so licensed professional clinical counselor supervisor. So I have people
Oh,
who
so
are
you
so I'm a supervisor, but then I have a supervisor. They see me once a month, and then I'm what they call a mentor coach. So to those who are just a PPC or a professional coach PC, I would be considered an MCC. But then for me, I have my own MCC, and I see them once a month. And then I have a business coach I see weekly for my goals, my business goals. And then I have a therapist, period. So the therapist doesn't offer any supervision. I only do, actually, I forgot, I do a group supervision once a month and I do an individual supervision once a month. And then I have my own therapist. And then I have a business coach. And then I have a mentor coach. My mentor coach is once a month, but it's really like just checking. It's almost like having a business It's almost like having a business coach for the business of coaching. My other business coach is for my mental health practice. So, but I think in general, people either have once a month or depending where they are and earning their hours or their credentials or license and all that, they might have it once a week. Are you still? Do you have a mentor coach, Coach K?
No, I did before. I was working with a business coach. Now it's kind of like as needed.
Hmm.
But I do plan on getting because coaching is pricey, but it's worth
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
But I do plan on getting my own coach for because there are business coaches like you said,
Hmm.
but I don't know because either way, my mindset's gonna come out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's like because even if it, let's say it was a relationship coach or a business coach or whatever, it's still the way that I'm thinking. This is what we said. Tell me if this resonates.
Hmm.
The way we do one thing, we usually do a lot of
Oh
things.
yeah, we do.
So,
Yeah. Right, right.
so I'd probably do business coach because that's where I have the biggest goals right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So yes, and I would probably do that. Like for example, I work with my clients weekly, but then after 12 weeks, then if they want to see me every, for a refresher or whatever.
yeah.
But he says that so when
I
it
mean,
comes
for
to level.
your profession, yeah, for your
Oh,
professional development, and mine sounds
yes.
like a lot, but let me put that in perspective. So my day gig, the job that I have, that's
Mhm.
I'm supervised, but by a
Mm,
clinical person. So that's one. Then
right.
my therapy business is not the same as my coaching business. They're two
Oh, you have a
separate entities.
private practice. Okay,
Yeah, because
yep.
my private practice, I go off my license. And so I have my own
Mm.
clinical supervisor that I can check things with and do clinical consultation. What do you think? And kind of run things past as a clinical mentor supervisor.
Yeah.
Then I have a business coach for my therapy practice. Like, how should I do business? But since
Right.
my coaching business is a totally separate thing, then
Right.
I have a mentor coach. So that's like for coaching. So it sounds like I have
Love
a lot,
it.
but if you
I
take away
love
my
it.
day gig, I wouldn't have that person. If you take away the separation here, I wouldn't need all that. It would just be one time a month, someone that I'm checking in with. But that's the reason why I have the different ones.
I love it. So Lou
Hmm.
says, so in other words, when it comes to leveling up in all areas of your life, you have to pay for it, but it's worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
So,
reduced price. It should be for. So my supervision, the group supervision, that's like $25 I pay to be in the
oh,
group.
nice.
So it's like five of us, and we meet as a group. Then my individual supervision, pending who you get, because my business coach is $700 an hour. He doesn't even have a high school diploma, but he's
That is
but I mean I
for the
split
name of
that
the game.
time. It's 1 hour, but I could see him for 10 minutes one time, 5 minutes for another, until I exhaust the full hour. And I only use him every once in a
Wow.
while, like for a major, because he's mainly a business coach, meaning people who make money. He helps them. I don't My clients don't make money. They come to me for emotional things. So my
Right.
son is an alcoholic, and so the value to their relationship will be equal to a CEO saying, "I want to make an extra 2,000 a year this year, or I want to make 500. How do I?" So the people I work with, they don't make money per se, so I can't afford. It's not like I'm making. It's not like my clients make money and can pay me extra money. That's not the case. So my regular
Right.
stuff is like $25 a group, $75 for an individual, and then I'm part of this guy. But just like I see him, I just whatever when my 1 hour maxes out, then I have to re up if I want to do it again. But
Right. Okay.
hmm
So I've I've joined the school that I actually went through. They had like a membership thing. So
hmm
I got coaching there, and then in my certification, I got coaching, and then there was a post coaching, and every single time it is so good,
yeah, oh,
and
absolutely.
and even group coaching. I mean, obviously depending on who it is, but listening to other people get coached, because a membership that I
Hmm.
have too is you can listen to live coaching. And I have received so much insight just from listening to other people, and the listening to how the coaches, I mean, obviously I love coaching, but just the way that, they break things down, and then
Hmm.
I can take that away and apply it to my situation or
Yes.
whatever it is. But I will say leveling up in all areas, you have to pay. Yeah, and that's something that I share with people is that, because of course, I have parents paying for it, but if I have
Hmm.
even a young adult, it's like, well, thinking about the byproducts of what you're dealing with, in
Hmm.
overcoming that, because unfortunately, what you've been doing isn't working.
Right.
And let's get to the root of it so that you can have lasting change versus just relapsing with in terms of, if they're trying to quit something or whatever it is.
Right.
And then they get to apply that to all areas. So yeah,
Yep.
it's
A lot of it is
love
about
it.
safety. So, so I was telling you, I'm cursed. Like, man, I get into these opportunities, and then it's like, oh my gosh. But a lot of times I'm like, well, it's not that I play. I don't know if you ever hear Hink that says you really have to test people. I don't know if you ever hear him talk about that Hink. And so a lot of times I get in situations where, okay, wait a second, you're going to think I'm your therapist, you're going to think I'm analyzing you, but I might just be trying to support you. So then I have to be careful. I can't offer too much support because then they feel analyzed or they feel like, oh, you're too much for me or you're out of my. And then because I actually like what I'm attracted to in my personal life, like I like, I a doctor, lawyer, and all that is I'm not intimidated by them, but then I don't feel a sense of purpose. Like even if they're a lawyer, but if we're both kind of just kind of up there, and I'm not saying I need someone less than. What I'm saying is I know at the end of the day, I'm from Harlem, New York, a little pissant kid with adoption. I mean, I'm a
Yeah,
spade player at
yeah.
night. I'm a comedian. I'm blah 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 blah. So at the end of the day, that's who I want to be with. So during
Mhm.
the day, I'm at the Amway meetings. I'm at the business meetings. I'm handling business. I have my, but right now I don't have time, but I'm in my tie and I'm
Right.
Dr. Nakumbe. And at night, right. So that being said,
Right.
automatically, depending who I'm with, if I'm really trying to look for that partner that's, so then either people have to be careful because I'm either presenting as if I'm above or whatever. So I always have to do that work. Always have to do that work. It gets very taxing.
Mhm.
Um, and then I present like I present the worst. Like these are the max things I want. And people are like, where'd you get that from? Well, I'm gonna be honest. If you see over 1,000 clients a year, and you take all these notes on what they did in their relationships that didn't work, whew, damn, you did what? I don't know how to do that bullshit. Okay, so,
Right,
so you
right.
learn. So it's not that I'm above anything, but you just learn like, oh, and then I seem like the super Casanova, but it's just I'm stealing these ideas and cheating. Like, holy buckets, you and she did well. Oh wow. So,
Yeah,
but
right,
with that being
right.
said, at the end of the day, for me, it's about safety. I want my partner to feel safe, and I want to feel safe in this relationship. So a lot of the questions are not about nosy, not about this, not about that. It's really about, am I going to be safe in this relationship? And if you grew
Mm,
up in anything that where you were told just a couple of times, you're wrong. In the name of safety, check this out, Coach K. If
mhm.
you're a little kid and you tell me, I don't think the kids like me, I have a couple of options. I can say they don't, right?
Yeah,
Or I can do the little white lie and say, what? Are you crazy? They
right.
love you.
Right.
And so I boost you up and I really lied to you. But what it doesn't match because I told you they love you. No, silly, and don't worry. You know what? Those people, don't worry about them. You are. So I say the things, but the evidence doesn't match. The
Mm,
evidence you are experiencing and kind of recycling in, it doesn't match the words of you're so well loved.
right,
So
the
at some
cognitive
point,
dissonance almost.
yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So your own brain is going to say, I'm not
Same.
saying he's lying, but all I know is the way I feel from how I'm treated doesn't match what you're promising me. So I create a default what's safe for me. And you can trust me, like you'll trust me, but at the same time, you take it with a grain of salt because you know whatever I say is always nice and sweet and kind, but it doesn't match the insults, the pain, the betrayal. It doesn't match those. So you develop this sense of safety. And you can
Mhm.
grow into a full grown woman and then, or grow into a full, you grow into your adult years, sorry, you grow up into
Yeah,
your
I
adult
get
years
you.
and someone is being kind to you, but guess
Mhm.
what? Your
Mm.
default system, your core belief is I know those
Right.
words. I know, yeah. And you're
Right,
so
like
beautiful, and you're so beautiful, and then the beautiful and the beautiful. But the beauty doesn't match. And then women, and I don't want to go into a whole thing about men versus women, but this is another thing that, and I try and stay neutral on it. But realistically, this is one of the things that, and because I hear from my clients, I have
mhm.
female clients, I have clients that were victims, and I have clients who did the
Mm.
offending. So I hear and work with the best of the both. I get best of the both worlds
Right, right.
in the that whatever that means.
Right, right, right.
I hear woman after woman after woman. Men do it, but they don't realize how much they don't report. So they don't report that they're wimp, they're a punk, and but so many men are assaulted daily, but they don't report it. The high school teacher who messed with them, the grade school teacher who messed with them, the foster sister who messed. There's so many guys, but they don't report it. But the women, the let's go back to that thing of you as a little girl. But then if I'm telling you that no, they like you and they just don't listen to that, then why did the neighbor friend, why did the family
Mm.
friend, why did uncle, why did grandma, why did
Mhm.
so when you in the event that you this person is this woman is this girl is messed with,
Right.
it doesn't match the words of how wonderful and how kind she is. She starts at an early age with betrayal and is one out of every four girls. So we're not talking like only what I see and only the clients I work with. I get that. I mean, I believe in that. So maybe it's just who I work with. But
Mhm.
research, all these Dr. Yahoos out there, the research says one in every
Right.
four girls will be assaulted. So that means one of those four are now growing up with hostility towards men. See, we talk about the talking points are now about he didn't pay my bills and I don't know if I could trust him. And the last relationship I was in, and this dude is crazy. He wants some crazy wild sex. Or he's crazy. Yeah, all those are talking points. But where's the root of that? The root of that,
Ooh.
and we say we don't want to go back to the 1800s and da 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 da. Do we not go back in history? And people only want to go back to your childhood. But where did
Right.
you get that from? You got it from your parent. And where did that parent get it from? They got it from their grandparent. Where did that get? So we do have to go back a few generations
Mhm. That's
because
true.
one impacts the other. Now, let's go back to you. If you hear constantly beautiful, 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 if you were messed with as a little girl, you hear the beautiful, but at the same time, you realize you've been violated. What do you think you're going to do for your kid? You're going to be protective, right? And you're going to make sure
For
no one
sure.
messes with her. Well, you're going to do all this protection, and then she's going to grow up with these core beliefs, which are going to
Right.
impact her next two generations. So, anyway,
Right. That's such a good point. Army oh, and real quick, we do have to, recognize well, let's do the super chat first. Lou
oh,
Medic,
yes, I
he
didn't even see that.
says no, you're good. He says, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so welcome. It was a great question, and hopefully it provides some insight." So I don't know if CBN wants to do that now or later. Let's see what he says. Well, I guess we'll let him decide. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, there we go.
Um,
Let's see what this is.
he says, "Thank you, thank you, thank
Oh,
you."
absolutely. Yes, yes. And thank you for the super chat, Lou Medic.
Yes, thank
What Coach
you.
K says thank you, thank you, thank you. $10 super chat. Thank you. And I don't know what you would like to have played or how we recognize it, how we want to recognize the CBN if you have
Yeah.
something really good and juicy.
I know we have it's like maybe like first or second one we've ever had.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
should we do that? Maybe
It,
maybe
Stop, Steve, and listen to me. God walked down to the bandit sea. He declared that he was the central man, and then he decided to destroy the land.
ooh,
hey.
that's
All
good.
right.
That
All
was good.
right.
Well,
All
that's a
right.
good pick,
Thank you.
CBN. I
Yes.
like it.
Yes.
Thank
We
you
so much
again.
appreciate the super chats. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Coach K is crazy because if we were up here talking about fucking and beating each other and all kind of crazy stuff, we'll get all kind of super chats. But we up here dropping these nuggets, and then people are just yeah.
Right,
So,
right. You
but that's
already
across the
know.
board, not just here, but that's just across the
That
board.
oh, that's for sure. That is for sure. Army
What's this?
Vet says, "What is the percentage of men that assault women? It should be pretty low."
Oh, it should be. Oh, wow. All right. So let me before I answer. Oh, within that answer, and I apologize. You may just want a simple answer. Um,
Oh,
here's
okay, yeah.
here's here's the thing. There's a number. of men who were actually victims themselves.
Right.
So what's crazy is when you do the data, when you do the research, are you collecting data on men who were victims who then victimized? Or are we talking
Hmm.
about straight men, not straight as in a gender preference? Orient
Linear.
as in preference. I mean, as in men only that have not been victimized. So
Mm.
that number is the one that's super low.
Can you
Yeah.
share, is that a and this is out of my own curiosity because I don't know this
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
is not my field, but so is that a someone being a victim, is what's the likelihood or percentage that they're likely going to do that, I
Yeah.
guess later on in life?
Yeah. So then here's the other tricky part. And
Mm.
it sounds really complicated. You have to
Yeah.
figure out what type of victimization.
Oh, yeah.
See, there's no perfect parenting out there. Okay. And
Mm.
so schemas, if you get a schema planted in your head, even from positive parenting.
Mm.
So, well, I was just in the conversation last night. I know this gentleman who he would give the shirt off his back. He would die on the sword for others.
Mhm.
He knows no other way. Now, since he has such a big heart, there are other people that care about him. And then guess what? They constantly see the stupidity in him for dying on the sword for things that are unnecessary because you're going to end up getting you're going to destroy your life. You're going to destroy your family. Oh my gosh, like, can't you tell these people don't care about, but the person that they're talking to can see no other way.
Right.
So what happens in these stages, now I'm speaking from Adlerian as far as
Mm.
the theory, which comes after Freud, they broke apart and then Adlerian.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the schemas are more current. Dr. Jeff Jeff Young, and that's like current in the last 20, 30 years. But these schemas are these beliefs, so like a schematic system, the subway system, the bus system, the wiring, when the bomb is a white,
Yeah.
yellow, green wire. So it's our
Yeah.
brain, and it only
Yeah.
takes a nanosecond from anything because we do all this yes, 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 yes. And so when you throw a
Mhm.
no in there, it's like throwing a pebble in the lake, that one little ripple. So you had a really, really good day, and the kid says, "Can I get a Snickers bar?" And he's like, "No." Now, that, in the grand scheme of things, that's no problem, but that's a form of rejection. You go, damn, man. Then I can't say nothing. It's just I look at my kids and say nothing, right? Because they're gonna get their feelings hurt on something. Correct is
Mhm.
that, and
Mhm.
especially now we live in this super, super, super sensitive world. But those things impact how you feel, how you think, and how you act. What you think, how you feel, and what you act. If you don't challenge that, you'll take yourself into all kind of, even though if you haven't been physically touched. And then when we talk about abuse or
Right.
victim, is it verbal victimization,
Right.
physical, psychological? You're stupid, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're
Mm.
stupid, you're dumb. The guys who are like, man, women and girls are dumb and stupid and stupid. I bet my Bears tickets, the ones who are really like the guys who are talking, the ones that they really are targeting are ones that heard before. They're stupid and dumb and stupid and dumb. To the point, Coach K, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, to the point where you can actually, they could actually be arousing to tell a female, you're stupid. You're a stupid bitch, aren't you?
I could believe it.
And they just are moist. I mean, they're just like, and they're not intentionally like, oh, call me, but boom. And then the same for a guy. The same for a guy because he plays the tough role. But you'll just have him melt just by telling him one little thing, and he'll get accused of being narcissistic. But according to Adlerian theory, narcissism means to love yourself 100 times more than anyone else loves you because you didn't get the love that you believed you should have gotten when you were a little kid,
Are
not
they
as an adult.
right, are they aware of that though, like
No. And then when you tell them that's when the true defenses come out, or they own it like it's a badge. Like, yep,
mm,
shit, no one else is gonna love me. And in their mind, that's true. No one else is going to love me. But
yeah.
they don't catch it when, like, I ask you, how was your day? How was your day today, Coach K?
He's good. Wait, should I answer a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just anything. Yep. How was your day today?
It was actually pretty good.
That's good. That's good. What'd you do
Worked
that made
out.
it good? Worked out. Oh my gosh, I worked out too. In fact, I was going to
Oh,
work out again twice today, and then the eye and 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 the worked out and
hey.
eye and the eye and the eye and the eye. Did you eat today?
Yeah, I did.
What you? I mean, what's on? What was on your menu?
I had ground beef earlier.
Ground beef. Oh man, no. See what you should do in the thing because when I eat, not eating the thing, the ground beef, an eye and 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 an eye. And then if you would dare to say, I thought we were talking about me. All right, so ready and go. Eye and an eye and an eye and an eye.
I thought we were talking about me.
Oh my gosh, everything's about you. I'm sorry. I
Right,
just
and then
thought I
they
would add
flip
my little. Oh,
it.
excuse me. Damn. Go ahead. You go. You go. You go. Go. Go.
Oh, right. Oh, then they'll be like over, like, oh,
Yeah, they flip like
you.
because like man, I thought my one little sentence, my one little like was sharing. Like I really believed through my lens, it was just a sharing. Now
Right.
later you can tell me. So I'll give you an example of actually my last relationship. I caught myself so many times, like or even with you, and in this professional setting, when I'm like, "Oh, my bad, I cut you off. My bad, I cut you off. My bad, I cut
Right.
you off."
Right.
And even
Right.
though, even though you might say, "No, no, no, go, you go, you go," those are permission givers. But if I'm not aware, I'll suck that up and then take it as a permission giver to keep cutting you off. So
Mm.
I have to do my own work to be like, thank you, but no, please go. Thank you,
Mm.
but no, I can't take advantage of those opportunities. Well, you must be weak. I am. I will submit to that because it's a power move for me and it's a control move for me from a kid who didn't have that. Even
Right.
moving, parents don't even realize if you move from California to North Carolina as a good move, a military move, or whatever, you had no choice as a 6 year old but to go.
Mm-hmm.
The schema in the back of the brain is no choice. Turn 26 years old and have someone tell you what you can't do. You got me twisted.
Right.
Boom, boom,
Right.
boom. It's like, dang, why? And they don't even realize I actually have a choice now and I'm not going to lose it. They don't have to be aggressive about it. They could be kind, like, no, I don't want to do that. Well, you say no to everything. No, I don't. No, I don't. Subconsciously, they don't even
Right.
realize because they have a choice. They have voice now. They have choice now. So they make those decisions. Well, then you have a person who likes to be, make sure that they're heard and that they have choice. If you put two people together who want choice, boom, boom, boom. And they're not even realizing. Like they clash,
Mm-hmm.
not because well, you act like and you act like we're both not even realizing. You finally have choice and voice. I finally have choice and voice, and guess what we end up doing? Boom, boom. And if
Right.
one says, okay, my bad, it may not be in that moment, but later they feel like I bitched. I bitched out. Like right?
Right.
And
Right.
that
All
wasn't
the
the
way
case
down.
at all. But that's what ends up the effery in their brain.
That's
What was
so
that?
interesting.
Hmm.
And it's just fascinating too because but I also think it brings freedom. Um Tisha asks, let's see. She says, "What are the chances of a child who sees abuse in their home will also become abusive as well?"
Hmm.
I remember us
Well,
talking about
what
that. Go
the
ahead.
payoff, what the payoff is not the actual abuse. It's the payoff.
Mm-mm.
In fact, I can be in my own room. Dad can say, "Yeah, go to your room. Go to your room." Yes, sir. We run to our room. Close the door. I don't see anything, but I know for 1 second it doesn't have to be. I can do the role reversal just for this story. I'm doing the historical, typical, stereotypical story. Okay, so I hear Mama running off at the mouth. We're in the room. I don't see it, but Mama,
Mm.
blah, 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 and all of a sudden I hear. I don't hear Mama. I
Right.
don't hear all this. So I didn't see it. But once I grow to the age of or stage of development where I really know what I find out what this was. Well, later in life, if I'm dealing with someone who's
That's
guess
yeah.
what's in my brain? I recall, bitch.
Right.
Oh, I didn't mean. Oh, man, I
Mhm.
don't know what came over me. Oh, oh. So the percentages are very high that between the ages of 4 and 7, through at Lyrian theory. So if people don't believe in it, no worries. You don't, because even coaching, we wouldn't even talk like in my coaching or your coaching, Coach K, we don't even talk about 4 to 7. We talk about like right now, if you're 42, we talk about 42 and
Right.
43.
Right.
Like what, like how do you move
Right.
forward? So this particular theory in child development says between the ages newborn, like even before you come out the womb, you can pick up your mom's attitude and characteristics, even before you come out the womb. And then so between 0 and 3, you're learning personality. 0 and 3, you're learning personality. But then when you start to really understand things, like we don't really remember. Most people don't really remember between 1, 2, and 3 ish. Like 1 and 2 is like we don't really remember. So
Right.
between 3.5 to 4, we start collecting these concepts. So between 4 and 8, whatever we collect and lock in our brain, that's who
We
we are for the rest
we
of our
keep,
lives.
yeah, we keep
Yes.
it.
So if I witness this abuse, verbal abuse, but I see the payoff, I see that either they got what they want, so I learned how. So if that's what I end up wanting, I remember that's what it took to get that. If I witness physical abuse, then I grow up. I mean, CBN and stuff, we talk about this all the time. Like, like, hey, where I'm from, we don't play that, right? So whenever I hear CBN say that, that's a clear indicator to me that he works, and I'm not speaking for you, CBN, but he works to make sure that he doesn't, whatever he saw, he works hard not to be that way. But please
Mhm.
don't confuse the kindness for weakness. That's
Mhm.
the,
Mhm.
that's the key part right there. I can be what I saw, but I choose not to be. But if you take it for weakness, I know how to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But if you get in a relationship or a connection where you're used to that and getting the payoff, then most people will stay that way if they're used to getting the payoff.
Right. Right. That's
So I
just
hope that
like
answered your question,
conditioning,
Tisha.
right?
I see she has something else up there. What are the chances? Oh, okay. So yeah, between the ages of 4 and 7, you can see it's older, and you still might do it. And then you can say, well, what if they never do it? Yes. So the fear of the abuse they witness, then they become people pleasers or kind, gentle people in a way as a payoff to as a trade off. I don't want to get hit. I saw blood. I saw crying. I saw. So you get more with honey than you do with vinegar. You get
Right.
more.
Oh,
So
yeah,
whatever
you
that
get more
saying is,
bees with honey than vinegar, I
yes.
guess. Yeah.
So then you get your class clowns, your comedians, your super nice people, the people who gift you to death, the people who pay you, the people who have big hearts. You get more of that as a way of saying, I don't want that pain. And at the same time, I just want to let you know I'm not going to cause you problems. I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm giving in the name of I don't want that pain.
Mhm.
So
Well,
you don't have to be an abuser, but you might become an enabler.
and that's what Lumenick said earlier. He said men who have been hurt like that, because when we were talking about, well, it was still this conversation, but men who have been hurt like that will be very overprotective with their kids. And I've heard of people,
Yes.
family friends that are like that. But
Yep.
then I've wondered about the people, but again though too, I know, people in my family too who they're they're kind of they're a hard ass, and then you find out that their dad was like a hard ass, and it's like, geez. But then
Yes.
again, and you always swear that you never want to be like that,
Yep.
but
Some don't even realize it. I tell you
mhm.
this client who his 17-year-old son was just, and they were putting him out the house. Fix him now, or Dr. Nakumbe, our last straw. Fix this kid now. And I'm meeting with that teenager. He's telling me all kinds of things that's going on in the home. I'm like, and a lot of parents, I think you get it too. They bring you with the kid like all the eggs in that basket. But I had to remind parents, you're probably parenting the kid that you want and not the kid that you have. So I need to do some work with you
Right.
too, right?
Right.
So when
Right.
I'm doing work with the parents, I bring them in and I'm like, so what's going on? Listen, this lazy bullshit. I don't want to hear all that. He's lazy. He's in his room always. He's on his video games. He's smoking that shit and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
The boom boom boom. And then when I ask, well, may I ask what are you doing? Oh,
Right.
what? And I get it. I don't mean like challenging the parents, but I'm saying every relationship there's 2% of someone. Everyone is bringing a minimum of 2% into a relationship. So
Right.
I hear your kid is 98% messed up. What 2% are you bringing? Well, first of all, it's not what he's doing because we work hard in my home. I grew
Mhm.
up in a home where they got divorced. I know what it's like not to have my dad around. I know what it's like not to have that support. I know and here I am busting my butt so they can have it. So really, how are you busting your butt? First of all, I work 2 jobs and I do this and I do that. And what was the kid's number one complaint when it comes to like intimate things with my father is never home. Well, because I'm working. So the father is blaming the kid for being lazy, and the kid is saying, I never see you. And this dad is saying, I know what it's like not to have a dad around. I refuse to be that guy. I work hard for my family, hard for my. So then I asked,
Mhm.
so you said, what about your dad when he got divorced? He wasn't around. He wasn't there. And so, of the 2 jobs that you have and all the things you do, how often are you around? Well, I don't have time. I'm sorry, what? Well,
Right.
when I don't have time.
Right.
So what's the difference?
Right.
And it hits them like a sack of nickels. And they're just like, oh, I don't know. You just some psychobabble. I don't know what you're saying. All I'm saying is the very thing you said you did not want, you're
W
doing.
Right. Well, and they do say, what you focus on, you create, or it is your reality, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, depending on what it is, you will find evidence for it and you will actually create it. Um, Army Vet says, oh, and I want to add too really quick with the child thing, and then I'll read his question.
Hmm.
In this book that I have, I love how this author phrases it. It is about neuroplasticity, but he talks about, babies in a nursery and seeing a tiny child, and that precious infant has a little baby keyboard strapped to his or her little infant chest. And above the keyboard sign with instructions on it, it says, um, basically like this, thing to parents, like, you're going to tell me who I am, whatever. And then it says, but warning, everything you type into this child's keyboard will be stored for life and acted on as
Woo!
though it is true. Please be careful. Every message counts. And I was like, well, first, just imagining the baby, but it's
Yeah,
true
that
though.
is
And I was
true.
like,
Every message
oh,
gets stored. Yes.
isn't that crazy? But I
Hmm.
thought that was a good imagery. But let's see. So Army Vet says, question, CDC percentage says women are more likely to abuse their children than men. I don't know.
Women are
What?
more likely.
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
CDC percent.
Well,
Yeah, it says CDC percentage says women are more likely to abuse their children than men.
yeah. So if you go off my theory, where again, not a gender war, but if you go off the theory that every woman, so 1 out of 4 has been abused, but every woman has witnessed or participated in conversation about how a man has hurt them. So either I witnessed my
Mm,
mom talk about it, my grandma talk about it, a sibling talk about it, even if it didn't happen to me. And so then I'm either I'm growing on this pillar of protection. I'm growing on this pillar of what I won't let a man do to me. I'm growing on this pillar of how I do want to serve him. So either I want to serve and be safe, or I want to be hardcore and be safe. So both of them
mm,
equal being safe. The men are quicker to leave. So I'm not talking about marriage. Men will stay in marriages, but they don't deal with bullshit. So when you talk about what you and the kids, and I can only handle so many threats, you and the kids and the you and the kids and I'm and the kids and the kid and the kid. What one man won't do, another man will. Or I grew up without a father and I survived, so Shorty will be okay. I grew up without
mm.
a father and I survived, Shorty will be okay. Or I
Or the
have a
female.
stepdad,
Oh
yep,
yeah.
or I have a stepdad, or Shorty daughter or son will be okay without me because I know I did it without a parent. Or I have a step parent, and so guess what I say? Well, what one man won't do, another man will. So I don't necessarily need to stay. So if
Mm,
you look at those numbers, and again, this is just through the lens of who I work with. So this is not worldwide. I mean, I do work internationally, but so I'm only speaking from my lens. So if this is not the norm or the majority, I accept that. But the majority of my clientele and the people that I serve, either through the jails or through mental health services or my private practice or coaching, those mothers, the rate of single parents are higher. So the rates of single parenting are higher with the ones I work with. Their level of the capacity to endure
Mm.
all of the stressors, then
Mhm.
usually the kid is the receiver of some type of either verbal. I mean, even with the best of times, they're seeing mom stressed. I mean, I'm not talking about
Mhm.
mom is beating them. I'm talking about mom gets up at 2 in the morning, cracks her toe just to come in and make sure that things are okay, and I'm cold and I'm hot. And you check this out. As good as mom is, no yelling at me, or she's firm but she's fair. She's awesome. No drugs, no mental health. It's just
Mhm.
beautiful. But then I, as the kid, can't understand how they are so nice. And that's just on the basic level. Like, why are they so nice? Like, why isn't my dad around? Why isn't this? Why did you let the landlord talk to you that way? Like, I watch my mom says, you can't let people do that to you, baby. And that sounds good in theory. Like Big Mama back in the day when they had Big Mamas and Big Mama would talk to you, like, wow. Like, I mean, they would just, and Grandpa was just like nothing bothers him. Like, what, like, Grandpa,
Right.
like, did you even hear what you saying, son? Like, did you even
Right.
hear what, like, wow. And that's just smooth. But as a kid, seeing that and trying to compute it and it doesn't match. So I'm actually
Mhm.
developing hostility without them even knowing it. Without me even knowing it, I'm developing hostility for my mama. Because if I watch one of these dudes come over, or even dad, and when he talks to her, and I feel some kind of way about him, like, mom, why do you? And I should be mad at the guy, but I'm building hostility for the mama. She doesn't know it. Now that's just on the basic level. Now add in
Mhm.
the moms who are a little bit more verbal. Your daddy ain't shit. So remember, on the basic level, when I see you come in and you stub your toe and you're working hard, you're doing everything, you're busting your butt, you work, you keep the house clean, you're emotionally balancing everyone in the house, you feed us, you cook. Hell, you haven't even washed your own body yet, or did anything for your nails or your hair or anything special for you. You've just been going, 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 going. Some will say that's her job and her duty. Okay, whatever it is, damn man, mom's a trooper. Whatever it is. Now, add on top of that, if mama is more vocal, your daddy ain't nothing. So now that is planted in my mind. And even though I hear mama saying that and I'm not liking my daddy, like I'm cool. I'm cool. Well, what happened to you? Like, you're 8 years old. You're 8 years old. Who are you talking? What are you talking about? But that's off the heels of the worry from my mama. That's off the heels of the protection from my mama who happened to voice. Let's say she doesn't voice. Let's say she does the opposite. Your daddy is good people, and I'm thinking he's going to be here Saturday. And then daddy doesn't show up on Saturday.
Mm.
Well, guess who still gets the hostility? Mama. I'm not pissed. I mean, I'm hurt by daddy not showing up. I'm hurt by daddy not showing up. But the hostility goes towards mama because you said dad was going to be here, which then leads that woman back to, dude, why are you like your son wants to, your daughter wants. So in one ear, she's being told, you quit keeping the parents out. On the other side, she's told, well, why do you allow him to keep doing that? So again, I'm not blaming the men or the women. I'm not getting into men versus women. What I'm saying is these are the
Mhm.
things that are behind the scenes. But yet the
Right.
guy who feels like the legacy that I wanted to have pushed forward, the protections, because I witnessed when I was a kid, the protections I want, but now I'm handcuffed. The child support I have to pay, I stay working. And instead of someone like I didn't get a chance to hear Hink in the basement say, no, don't get that third and fourth job. Because when I'm thinking, man, I got to pay an extra $800 in child support, I need an additional job to pay the 800. Well, child support is going to see that as, well, you have extra income. Now your
Right.
child support is 900. Damn it! Now I need to make another 100. I go make another 100. Child support says, "Oh, you have more money, so now you have to pay 1,200." And if I didn't have that conversation, or hear someone like him say, no, you just work your basic income, your lifestyle, whatever, and they have to base your thing on that income. Oh, so I shouldn't get another job to make the 900? No. So me not knowing that, I'm building hostility again, because I feel robbed and cheated. And then my license is put on hold. I can't go anywhere. If I'm two payments behind, I can't go anywhere. You get to leave the country and do whatever you want. I can't even cross the state line. You get to do this. I don't get sick days. If I get sick days, they still take the amount of child support out of my thing. It's called the arrears. So they build the arrears. Even if I don't get paid for it, the child support will still add up. You get to have sick days. But again, now we're getting into competing. And I don't know if I told you, if it was us, I forgot who I told, but what I do with some of the guys, in one weekend, I have them tally all that they spend on their weekend. I have them tally how much they spend. And they, depending the lifestyle, McDonald's and all, depending the lifestyle, they spent more in one weekend than they paid in child support for the whole month.
Ooh.
So we're talking about the ones who pay like, $80 and $125 or whatever, and they have a couple of kids.
Complaining? Are these the ones
Yeah,
that
they're
not complaining, but okay. Ooh.
I mean, they're saying like, here's the
they're
deal.
Complaining.
Well, yeah, here's the deal. If you're paying through the county,
Mm-hmm.
mama is only getting about, let's say you pay $100. Mama is only getting about 50. Unannounced to her, that money goes into the system first. And there's a business. That county is taking their cutout first. And then some of it goes to the welfare pot. And when mom gets the crumbs, so she's getting $50.
What's
so
that
when
called, by the way? Or like
fuckery? I mean, what? I'm sorry.
right.
No,
No, for real though. No, for real.
No.
Because I was talking about that with some people. We were trying to look into it because we've heard that and we thought that that was true, but like we were trying to look into it. How can you find
it's business? I mean, the county. If the
they
county is
probably
doing
don't.
it, there's still a business. Like if you have a lawyer do it for you, if you don't go through the county. But see, the trick with the county is they're offering medical benefits, health benefits, all kind of a big package. You don't need the dad, you don't need we'll offer you this package, and then they'll just pay child support. But you can have a mediator do your child support. You can have you can assign whoever to actually do it. But most people go with the county because they have the most enforcement power. They can suspend your license. They have the most enforcement power, and they sell the good package. So people are like, I want the county to do it.
Ooh, okay.
So mama
anyway,
gets the $50. Yep. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had a question?
No, you go ahead. No, I said sorry, but you keep going with the guy and spending the money.
Oh yeah. So, and again, it's not, mamas are in this role too. I'm just talking kind of historical. All right. So not to get into.
Honestly, that's numbers too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a mom that pays child support. It's totally reversed. In fact, the laws are now changing where it's 50-50. But so this mom gets a $50 check unannounced to her. The service fees that came out unannounced to her. So she's what? She's upset. She's disappointed. She has to still maintain the kids on her time with $50.
Right.
The father, who his check, now I say it's only 100, but let's say that's a big dip for him. He's got his change left from his paycheck. And here's this kid in the middle hearing from mama, well, your dad, we got the $50. I'm not sure if we can do the punk ass, he only sent $50, depending how the mama is. But now the kid is in the middle of dad, like, yeah. And either the kid is like, wow, dad, we couldn't do much. I guess you can only send 50. Or, yeah, mama said you're punk ass, right? Because not every mama talks like that. So we have the encouraging mom and the disappointed mom. And then we have the angry mom, right? So whatever mom you get, all she knows is she got $50. The dad knows, you got me fucked up. I sent you 100, and I couldn't take time off, and I couldn't take sick. So see how they're both at each other unknowingly. By the time they find out that you only got, by the time she says, here, let me show you, I only got 50, and by the time he says, look at my pay stub, they're already at the point of probably at war with each other if they're not talking to each other. So anyway, my point is the kid's in the middle, and they're either building hostility for the one parent or disappointment for the other, hurt. And then how do you challenge your dad, or how do you challenge the paying parent? So with the guys, we did an exercise. I had them keep track of all the money they spent in the weekend. So remember, pending the lifestyle, and some parents, if they don't really cook whatever, they do to McDonald's, and then if you're the entertaining type dad, you took them to the movie, you took them out to pizza and Chuck E. Cheese, you did all that. If you're the fun dad, so you spend a
Mhm.
chunk of change. And so you realize, dang, I spent like almost $200 on this one weekend. And the mama has the kid all month. I mean, well, you get your 2 weekends, but they get them so 7 days a week. You only had them 2 days.
Right.
So if you spent up $200 from Thursday night to Sunday, if you spent $200 Friday night to Monday morning, but
Right.
now she has a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, and it's still my
Right.
weekend because you get every other weekend. So then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah. So
Thursday, Friday.
20 so
That money
like
is
so 24 days out of the month, right? She would have them? Yeah, because
whatever that
he
math is. I'm
well,
not a math whiz,
whatever.
but
Yeah, that's
whatever.
too much.
Yeah,
That's yeah, at this point,
that
that's too much. But yeah.
is daycare, feeding. So we have to cook meals at our house, so we don't get the luxury of McDonald's every time. So Dad took us to McDonald's. And did he take
Right.
you to McDonald's, or was it his new girlfriend that took you to McDonald's? Yes. Anyway,
Right.
so I
Right,
just help them
right.
see that you spent up all this money on one weekend, but you bitch about it, but just so you bitch about the child support. But it's really the system. Like what? And I'm not fighting the system. What I'm saying is, but that system takes a toll on both parents. They're at war with each other, not realizing the system that's helping them is, if they don't
Y
understand it. I love what Hink talks about, because I'm like, man, I hope every person who's caught up in that learns about the system. So Coach K and I, if you just say you and I had kids, and you're like, hey, I only got $50, but you and I learned how the system works. You're like, well, yep, they did send the 50 after they took out their cut. Oh yeah, they did take out my 100. And we're not at odds with each other because we understand the way the
right.
system works,
Right, and
right?
sometimes people are so mad about things that really it's not that other person, but they're so mad at that other parent that they
Yes,
will never
yes,
figure they won't find that out.
yes, so now we get into that war. It's your fault. No, it's the man, it's the woman. There's so many things
Mhm.
that have been in the middle that we are so unaware about. Right. So now the social media, what are they saying to the women? You should go to work and you should have a job and you have a right. So then the people who fell into that, and then the ones who fell into this, and then the man who's like, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and then the man who says, I want my family together. So, but the middle
Right.
piece does so much damage that we don't know about, and then we're not communicating with each other. Then the kid is in the middle, and that's what causes all this big, big, big friction.
Yeah, y the kid I mean, the 2 parents, they suffer for sure, but ultimately the kid suffers and it's like a generation, unfortunately, unless, the
Generational.
kid works through it. And you'll just see so many different I mean, every state's different,
Yeah.
everyone's, like, situation's different. I mean, you hear all the time and I try to give everything, like, the benefit of the doubt. That's why, like, if I'm talking to someone and I have a principled stance, sometimes I'm way too nuanced. Like, I have my principles and my standards, but
Hmm.
I find understanding a lot, almost always. But, everyone says the men, get screwed in the courts. Well,
Hmm.
I have 2 situations close to me where that did
Right.
not happen, and I was like, "Oh,"
Hmm.
but actually, I wanted to be like, "Actually, this dad did get
Hmm.
he didn't lose anything," like, and then, of course, I'm seeing it from a different side, and I'm like, from just listening to these conversations, and it's just interesting to
Right.
kind of when you get outside YouTube and look around, and it's just not so black and white as it always
Right.
seems. But a lot of it's just ego too, you
Right.
know,
Well,
and the
I
kids
agree.
suffer.
Pending the system, you do get raked over the coals as a man.
Mhm,
Okay, fair enough.
mhm.
And I don't try and balance everything,
Right,
but
right.
that pain is unfortunate. But are we also acknowledging the pain of the parent? If the kid is the focus. So do I have to give a damn about the mom? I don't have to, but guess what? That's the co-parent. And I need us to be on the same page. I need us to get along minimally so the impact of our future, because not, it doesn't only impact this kid, but their kids. I'm talking about 2 to 3 generations forward. I don't have to give a damn about your personally and stuff and da 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 and what you're doing, but parent to parent, can we get along? Community, can we get along? Future generations, we need to be able to get along. And so I get your TikTok and all that, but it's interesting. The TikTok messages that we get here in America are not the same TikTok messages that they play over in the other place, the CHINA. Their videos are not booty shaking and dancing and all that. Their
Do
TikTok
they
videos
even
are
have
people doing math,
that?
and people winning awards. TikTok video over there for 15 seconds is about celebrating somebody. They're not doing booty shaking TikTok videos over there. So it's just unique that our version of some of the social media, the Snapchats and the TikToks and the YouTube and all, is very interesting that ours is so entertaining. But the owners of these, the developer of these, the developer of these
Right.
things that are across the seas on the east of side of the world,
They don't even let their own,
they
yeah.
don't even let their own have it that way. And
That kinda
so,
reminds me, yeah, no, keep going.
no, that was it.
That kind of reminds me of, and not to get like, this is just the principle of it, not even like political or anything, but sometimes people will defend like schools or whatever, but then they'll be like, well,
Hmm.
you said your kids there, and it's
Right,
like,
right,
so it's
yeah,
it's kind of those situations. But I want to share this. So here's a picture of my that's my niece, and then
uh-huh.
me and my twin, and that's my sister's husband and my niece's father and his wife. So two parents, but also they're, so obviously my niece and my sister, my niece's dad, they're not together.
Hmm.
But it's like, of course, and we talk about this another show too, but seeing like, I'm so happy. I'd rather it work out than to everyone have their egos like, "Oh, stepdad and dad." Like that was s both parents with their significant others, and I would rather it be that way, and it honestly feels just like, look at all those people. Of course, Aunt Kay was there. I think my hubby was at drill or something, and that was first. She had Make-A-Wish,
Uh-huh.
and she got her room made over. That was her wish. And it was like, wow, see there are these situations where they can work.
Hmm.
And for
Hmm.
and I had to remind myself, and I'm not even her mom, that it's like, I want her dad to be in her life at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Right,
So it's
right,
like, what's the point
right,
of keeping things hostile when I
right.
know how important a dad is, and even
Yes,
if
it
he's
does
not
not.
doing it exactly how I think he should,
Yes.
which I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And everything doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It is not always doom and gloom. Like how much of that is our core belief? How much of that is we are over exaggerating? How much of that are we catastrophizing? Can we actually make it work? Why does it have to be this, doom and gloom? Why can't we have both parents in the kid's life? Now, it
Right.
doesn't always mean that everyone is meant to be together. There are
No, that's
just
a
some
fact.
people,
That is a
right? There
fact.
are just some. Then again, I question at some stage in life they made it work, but when they say but people stayed miserable, like the women had to stay financially, blah blah blah. But I
Right.
promise you, when I'm in India, and that's a totally different set mindset over there, but when I'm in India
Right.
or the Philippines,
Right.
and those people, like, your husband's been gone all day, and he's probably, and she already has a plate made for him and all that, and it's like, and she's like, at the end of the day, my husband is taking care of the family and he's doing his manly thing. That's okay with you. The end of the day is not about me. The end of the day is about the
Mm.
children. And we already kind
Mhm.
of know where we're at. You do? Yeah, we know where we're at. And I decide if I want to continue this. But the
Right.
difference is if she decides not to, she has in the home mama, grandma, grandpa, uncle,
Ooh,
niece,
yeah.
one of the siblings who almost kind of sacrificed their entire life. Like they're 30 something taking care of the parents while their other siblings are off married. So why are you not? I'm taking care of my parents.
Oh.
So you're gonna pass your birthing stage. Like I mean, your ability. My parents, my family. So there's usually one kid that sacrifices. Like we in the show last night, I was talking about one of the guys on there where he's somebody takes care of his grandmother took care of him, and now he's like the responsible one for the siblings because the new generation kids are not. They're letting property go. They're letting. So he's taking on that mission, and people are like, but marriage and your thing and your thing. And he's like, my mission is to keep the family going. So subconsciously and consciously, he's taking that on. So those families over there are like, yeah, there's one of them. They don't plan it like, are you going to be the kid that they don't plan it that way? But there's usually one that says, I'm taking care of my family. So when that mother breaks away from that husband, she can take care of the kid because the village is taking care of the kid. And we don't have that
Right.
as much. Or the circles I'm in, I don't see those villages as much anymore. I
I
don't see
don't
those.
I don't see them, and
Hmm.
although I do have neighbors
Hmm.
who are ethnically, and I see that, and actually even my husband has coworkers. Alex P. Keaton says, "Don't compare US to India. It's vastly different society, and younger
Right.
generations are marrying later and having less children."
Are they
Well,
human? Are they human? I'm just
right,
matching human to human. So
right.
yes,
He
their
just said
culture is
that.
different and their practice is different. I agree.
Right,
But
right.
what I'm saying is at the end of the day, if we're talking
Mhm.
about future generations, we don't have to compare because we're here. I get it. We can't
Right.
compare apples and oranges. But I am saying if we end up having a bunch of bad oranges, maybe we should look at what's going on where they have good apples or fair apples. I'm not saying they're better than, what I'm saying is
Yeah,
the system is different. So we
right,
claim to be a better country, and sure we are. I'm not here for a political stance, but I am saying,
right.
hmm, we might be better. We might have more advancement in this and more this and more that. But the systems that we have in place to have all those things, they also offer consequences.
What's
They
better,
also
right? At the end of the
offer
day.
consequences, right? When I'm asked, do I want to move over there? And I'm thinking like, ugh, my medical care and treatment, like, ugh, I'll be dead in a year over there. I don't know
Right.
if they can really even. But then when I think about, like,
Well-being
oh,
though,
yeah,
like
yeah, like
family, like that,
satisfaction, yes, family,
right.
yes. So, but again, there's good
Yeah,
families here,
I'm
so
with you.
I don't want to get into. I agree. Who'd you say said that? I want to acknowledge.
Alex P. Keaton.
Okay, Alex P, you are correct. I don't want to get into comparisons. You are correct. But there are some
Yeah.
benefits in that lifestyle, and I think there's some benefits in our lifestyles in the different areas of the world. That I hope someday we can blend that and we all kind of get the benefits that work.
Right,
Okay,
right.
that's the kind of the
Yeah.
nice the tiptoe version. But I may also give this version. We do some things that I think our egos and our we know it all, we know it all, and then we end up screwing ourselves trying to know too much. And then there are other countries who have less than, and less than, and they
Right.
make it work. When I go into a room, that if two of me were in there, if me, black man, and black me, black man, and TBN were all in that room, we'll be rubbing bellies together. That's how small the room is. But yeah, but the people living in that room think it's heaven. I mean, they just think it's they make it
Right.
a palace. Just the room of when I walked and stepped 9 steps and hit the wall, and turned the other way and hit 6 steps and hit the wall, and they make that a palace. But
Right.
I have to have all this abundance and space. So for others, they may however people see it. But I know when I went home, I thought that was more than enough for you. I ride a motorcycle and I put someone on the back. But when I'm on a motorcycle where I'm talking about shaking because like, "Hey, come on, man. They got a baby in one arm, a sack of rice on another, and four people all on the
Right.
one bike. And I'm like, uh, I'm panicking, flipping, freaking out. And they just ride with ease, 6 people on the bike. So yes, we don't have to compare, but at the same time, don't sleep on there are other some basic things in life that people find a way to make it work where I think we sometimes can make it complicated.
Right. And I think that's such a great point, even with clients talking about external things. And that could be material items or circumstances or something changing or even weight on your body. It thinking that that's going to bring you something specific, a certain feeling, or you'll then be able to do this.
Hmm.
But how do we know that that's not the case? Because we have if that were the case, that less weight or a new car brought you happiness, well, then there wouldn't be people out there that had those things that were unhappy. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
they do. So it's like, and I'm telling you this to kind of show you it should be empowering that guess what? Like not to say you don't want to work towards that, but that you're not waiting for that thing to feel good, to feel happy, to feel
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled, especially
Mm-hmm.
cuz usually it's just going to be grasping for the next, I guess end goal or whatever it is. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like but wanted to shout out to OGJ Speed. He's in the chat.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome, welcome, OG, welcome. Salute to
Wanted to
you.
wanted to let him know I did get the ginger for because remember he told me about teeth whitening. Um
Oh, yeah.
Definitely I did and I looked it up. I was gonna try lemon too, but I love lemon.
Mm-hmm.
But ginger, hydrogen peroxide, and baking soda. Ginger is a very interesting
Mm.
flavor. Very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. But we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. Try not to do it every day. But I did take your advice, so we'll see what
Nice.
happens. Um,
Now,
but
Coach
yeah,
K, I don't know what minute this is on the show.
yeah, 47. We have 13 minutes left.
Okay. For anyone listening, I told you I do body language thing, right?
Uh-oh.
I mean, I told you I do
Yeah,
part of my
yeah.
work.
Oh gosh,
So
yeah.
we've been talking for an hour and 46 minutes.
Yeah.
And when you said, so this is the level of awareness that I encourage people to have.
Okay.
When you said, oh, I want to give a shout out to OG because he mentioned the teeth whitening.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it till right after, but the second after I did, I said, "Oh, really? Go back to this minute of the show." I felt it after, but it was just unique that the second you said, "Oh, shout out to OG," because he mentioned the teeth whitening, that I was like, "Oh, really?" Now,
That is how I'm gonna go
subconscious,
back.
yeah, like I probably haven't smiled the entire show, but and it wasn't intentional. Like I didn't be like, "Oh, he did." I didn't do that intentionally. But as I was paying attention to my body language, I'm like, "Holy shit! Did you just smile? Like you want him to make you an offer of some type of teeth? Like why did
Right.
you?"
Then yeah,
So
I do
it's just
that.
that level of awareness of our behavior. That's
Mhm.
where, if we can get to that and then be honest about it. Um,
Yeah. Sometimes I'll
and
beat
again, I
myself
don't mean
up
like I'm
over it
some
too.
super thing, but I just mean like that's the level of work that I have to put in because if not, I'll slip into old behaviors and stuff. Like I
Yeah,
have to put in that level of work.
what's that about,
Hmm.
Um, little podcast Beans is in the chat. We don't have much time left, but if you want to hit the link, if you're okay with that, Doctor Nakumbe, he says
Let's do it.
has
We have about
has
10
the
minutes, 12 minutes. Let's do it.
he says has the doctor figured out how to tell women when they are wrong, or is he still coddling them? And he sent the this emoji with the sunglasses
Oh,
on
both,
too.
both, both. I tell them where they are wrong, but I coddle them because I'm no better than they are. So
Right,
the part of me that coddles them is to say, all right, to be fair, to be honest, my bad. And then there's the part that anyone who knows me will know that I also am like, yeah, this is where your ass really stinks. But
right,
here's the problem. Because I do the work that I do and because I claim to know this little piece, I have to
right.
be careful when I'm doing that, like bam, 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 bam,
Mhm.
because really, who am I? And do I just have the edge of this kind of human behavior? And then my coddling, and I don't mean in a bad way, but my coddling, again, the work that I do, I believe in going backwards. And every behavior has a hint of truth.
Yeah.
Every behavior has a hint of truth. And so, what do the women complain about? Is it one woman that's complaining the same? I mean, I almost said the Michael Jackson theory. I do have a theory. I won't say who it belongs to, but I do have a theory that when the first kid accused the person, no, no, no. When the
Oh yeah.
second kid, by the time we got to the seventh and eighth kid, okay. So if one woman is saying a man ain't shit, second
Right.
woman is saying a man ain't shit, and then men are saying women ain't shit, we're both saying the same thing. But at some point, there's some hint of truth in what the complaint's about. And where did that come from? If one in every
Right.
four women are getting abused by men and the other three are observing this, they
Right.
start with hostility. They don't go into a relationship with hostility. They start with hostility. And you just have to go back as far back as you want to see where the hostility started. As I was telling Sir Hale the other day, and this is, I'm sorry, I'm switching. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was telling Sir Hale the other day, but I didn't land my plane very well. I crashed. If you go way, way, way back, depending what part of the continent or which continent, which part of the world, women were leaders. Okay, so here in
Mm.
America, Native Americans and the indigenous people, women were leaders.
Mm.
A certain group of people came in and wiped that out.
Right.
And then to see that we couldn't be protected, we couldn't do this, and then to have the men disrespected. So the indigenous men, when they were disrespected,
Interesting.
okay,
Yeah.
sticking up for the women. So when they were disrespected, the slaves, when they came over, and the women were just as tough as nails for the men, because in Africa and even parts of Africa still have women leaders. There
Right.
are still women leaders. So,
Right.
but I'm talking about you go way, 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 way back. People say you don't go back that far. Okay, we don't have to, but you also have to understand where some of this came from. So we can do 2023 and totally ignore the oppression. We can totally
Right.
ignore the wiping out. We still do it. Some black people still do it for white people. We say you enslaved us for 500 years, and there's still systematic racism. There's still all
Mhm.
kind of racism still happening. So
Mhm.
women are saying the same thing. They just may not
Mm.
attach the history with it. They're just not announcing the history with it. But the daughters who are growing up who are seeing what happened to mama, they're going to treat the men next generation, the next generation. So we can ignore what happened to men. We can ignore what happened to women, and that's why we continue to have these wars because we're only counting 2023, and we're not healing the pain. For, through my circles, the women
Right.
aren't trying to take over. They're just trying to balance some shit. Like, hey, remember what I said? Cooking, cleaning, wiping your ass, making sure you're taking care of your kids, and da 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 da. I don't mind doing that,
Mhm.
but now you're gonna treat me like shit, and then the system
Right.
that's helping you treat me like crap.
Mhm.
So then there's a group of women that said enough's enough. And then the men are like, whoa, wait a second. But do you know in Africa where the queen had four men, where one woman had four men? But we get on these panels and talk about, oh, a dude dating two women. Oh my gosh, and what happened to the marriage and the marriage? Yes, there's that. But we also have to acknowledge there are cultures out there where they had
Right.
community husbands and community wives. And yes, the men go to war more than the women, but hint, hint, do your leaders go to war? See, we don't talk
Mm.
about that. We only talk about the part of the soft woman stays home, the hard man goes to war. But if we look at it from the cultures that where the woman was the leader, you
Right.
don't send your king and queen out there to fight. You send
Right.
so. But again, we don't. That's not a popular angle, and that's not all across the world. But that's and I don't want to make myself right in that conversation. I'm just saying I take those things into consideration as well. So when I speak for both genders. And if you believe there's more than two, that's whatever. I speak for all people when it
Right.
comes to balancing. But there are certain things that men should be done for men by men, and there's certain things that should be done for women or by women. But
Right.
I also have to recognize why we clash, why we clash, why we. So for all the people who are like the women are supposed to, sure, if that's what you do. I have some personal practices that I do that in my personal practice, but every single one of those people consent. They give consent. So the wild from mild to wild, whatever I do, they consent. And it's not this.
Mhm.
But see, people either don't know or they do know, or they talk about it, don't talk about it. Submissive means power. Submissive is strength. If you are a church going person, you choose not to engage in the foolery. You choose, got that from Take Heed. If you choose not to engage in the foolery, that's
Right.
strength. If you
Right.
choose not to engage in smoking recreational weed, If you choose
Right.
not to drink, if you choose not to have sex, if you choose, that strength,
Right.
giving you the power. When I go to my job, your boss has the power over you. The boss has the power that I allow. I don't have to go to that
Right.
job. Now, there's a trade off.
Right.
There's a trade off, right? I get money, but I can always
Right.
go to another place to get money.
There's
So
just
submission
as
does
much in
not
it.
mean
Yeah.
weakness, but pending the
Right.
guy who's out there, you need to submit, or the woman who's like, I'm not submitting. But if you really broke it down to its basic form, she's saying, dude, I trust you. You are
Mhm.
my king. You are my leader. Go lead. I
Mhm.
I submit, but submit does not
Right.
mean I'm weak, and submit does not mean ignore me. Submit does not mean don't take me into consideration. Submit means,
Right.
dude, you got this. But again, if you go way, 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 way back in history, pending which way you go,
Right.
there were women leaders, but the women also got the blame. So, and that's another
Right.
whole
Comes with
conversation.
it.
So
It comes
if
with
you go
it.
to Adam and Eve route, someone blamed the woman for taking the bite of the apple. If you go another route, they blame the women for being too emotional. You blame the
Right.
women. So there are certain pockets of the world where women got the blame. So if you go based on my philosophy of going
Mhm.
back to what the root is, that
Mhm.
means constantly women are dealing with men blaming them for some bullshit, and you're dealing with one out of every four being abused. And then you're
Mhm.
dealing with men who don't feel respected in their own home, let alone the community or at work or
Mhm.
with the government. So the
Mhm.
home should be the last place that I'm getting disrespected. But we don't want to talk about that. Suck it up,
Right.
buttercup, and deal with it, and da da da. But the level of disrespect is taxing. Home is the last place where I should get that.
Right.
And then the men who are expected to do things, and if they falter on that, the way they the way they are approached, anything from you're a bitch to you're soft, you're weak, or to the supportive. And I'll land my plane with this.
That's
Even the
good.
supportive is hurtful. And that sounds crazy. But Coach K, if I have betrayal in my life, if I was told, you're wonderful, you're a king, but it doesn't match my experiences, I think you, the supporter, were lying to me. I think you
Mhm.
lied to me. If you are my provider, you're my parent, and you told me you're a king, and no matter what those people say, that's all wonderful, that's all positive affirmations. It's real. I'm not discounting it. But if my experiences don't match, did you get picked for the soccer team? No. They said I'm too fat. You're a king, and one day you're gonna be out the kicking ball, and that's true. Keep me motivated. But from my subconscious mind, my schema, I just locked in that the people who're supposed to love me and care for me lied to me and betrayed me. Now, as an adult, because I don't, those don't just magically leave your brain. So guess
Right.
what? I get the most awesome woman in the world. But that schema kicks in and be like, you gonna trust her like you did your mama? You
Right.
gonna trust her like you did auntie? Or your favorite teacher that told you you're gonna be in the NBA one day? You gonna trust that, huh? Well, you just didn't do the work
Danger.
to get in the NBA. You can just didn't do the work to get in. I could be in the NBA. Yes, you can, but your ass ain't there now. And now all of a sudden
Mhm.
I'm flipping on you, and you're like, it makes no sense. I gave you the world, and you act crazy. I give you everything you asked for, and you just is never enough because no one discussed that I have inadequacies.
Right.
That was taboo. That's what the purpose of our show is about, breaking those chains. Why can't we get in a relationship and say, Coach K, I'm gonna be honest, man, I want to be with you. I'm gonna be honest. If as my friend, as my woman, as my whatever, I have the potential to drain you. Now I risk losing you. At the very second I say that, I risk you going, oh shit, that's a red flag. I'm out. Thank you for letting me know. I risk that. But I could also risk the other thing, get you in a relationship and drain the shit out of you because it's never enough, never enough. And you're just taxed and worn out. And dude, I'm trying everything to love you. Damn, it takes, oh, my bad. Or you just didn't, and you didn't, blaming you and blaming you. And then your self worth goes down. And what are you then going to pour into, if we have kids, what are you going to pour into the kids after I've drained you and broke you? What are you going to pour into our children? So we don't have those conversations enough. I'm not saying no one does, but we don't have enough of those conversations, partly because we don't know about it. I get sad when I keep people saying they know better, they know better. Bullshit. Stop masturbating then. Since you know so much, since they know so much, stop. Just stop. Stop spending your money. Stop doing DoorDash. Just stop these addictions. Just magically delicious. Just stop. Just people just
Mm,
know. They know better. They know better. They know. Since
right,
you know
right,
everything, how come you have the problems you have? Since we all know, we don't know how our traumas. And then when we learn about them, did you hear what I said? Even me, Coach K, I have
right.
to work every single day to remember to stay aware. If not, I will slip. It is that easy to slip in what your brain has already established for you. I have to be aware
Right.
of my sense of, with my childhood, no control, no choice, no voice. I have to be aware of that. When I go into my relationships, I sound fucked up because I tell people, "Bro, listen, I'm crazy. I like all kind of blah, 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 blah." But I also have to be aware. And then like I do these telling on myself. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's my fault because I did this. And people are like, dude, but I choose to do that because I feel like if I don't, it's so easy to slip back into. And I said I was gonna land my plane, but you remember when we talk about the tree? We talk about the
Yeah.
tree. So
Mhm.
I'm 50. I'm 50. When I have a problem current day, if I don't feel heard, if I don't feel heard, if I'm on one of these things and people are arguing with me about clinical stuff, and we are at times, so I'm aware. If people are arguing with me about clinical stuff, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. True. I have to tell myself, well, you don't know everything. But if I get locked into the belief of, I have a PhD, I have a, and now if you don't feel heard, what you see as this one thing not feeling heard, and people are like, look at him, wow, look at him. What I'm
Right.
responding to, what I'm really not responding, what I'm reacting to is if when I was 5 years old and I didn't feel heard, when I was 5 years old and I'm not blaming that. I'm not blaming that. What I'm saying is I have 45 years of experience of not feeling heard. So what looks like me having a temper tantrum over this one conversation is really built on 45 years of temper tantrum. And if you grow up as a big brother, not being able to provide for your sisters, and your sisters are taken away from you, and you can't do anything about it, and you grow up feeling like I need to protect, I need to protect, I need to protect. When someone says you need to stop all that, you're gonna get killed. Isn't that what is supposed to happen? Huh?
Right.
And so people they disconnect. Like one sees it one way and one, but if you grow up on it, you grow up that way. So anyway, my point was people don't see the history of their trauma and how it impacts them. And if they're not aware, they'll constantly just kind of live off this vision and this fantasy and this delusion. So, and it's dangerous. People need to learn who they are and be willing to communicate that. Coach K, I can be taxing. How? Tell me. Well, if you do this and you do that, I'm like, prove you really love me and prove you really love me. And so, as a partner, we're like, I'll go to here, but you need to do your part. Yes, yes, I will do my part. But we're working, and then whatever your flaws are, we're working. I'm like,
Right.
damn, girl, you're so fine. What do you mean you look ugly today? You're so fine. And when you're like, I hear you, and I hear every man in the world say that. Thank you. But when I look in the mirror, when I look in the
Right.
when a
Right.
400-pound person loses 100 pounds, but they play basketball and they still won't jump, like jump, come on, get your jump. And they're like,
Right.
oh, because in their mind they're still 400 pounds.
Right.
Anyway,
That
I hope it
that
makes
makes so much
sense.
sense. It does. Well, and I wanna add really quick, Lil Podcast says, "You know that people aren't aware. You have to be more willing to say, 'No, sister, you are wrong for that.' No filter, no softening the blow, because that's what children and women really need." And I wanted to add really quick that with what you just said, even if someone's saying, like, if women are saying, you said finding the truth in it. And even when people say things about you, like if you can find the truth in almost
Hmm.
anything, even if it's just a small bit, like, oh, you know what, you might be right. But at least you can actually come into the conversation at that
Hmm.
point. Because
Hmm.
if you don't try to find the truth or whatever it is,
Hmm.
walls up, whatever.
Yep.
That's, I
Yep.
wanted to add that. But yeah, so I don't know if you
I
want to
I
respond to
agree,
that.
little podcast. However, a person persuaded against their will is of the same persuasion still. And until the pain of the consequences outweighs the joy of the behavior, people don't change. So I
Mhm.
agree, but I choose to be respectful. So I can still I can bust them in the head. I can trust me. If I smell a sister's ass and I'm like, hey, you smell, come on now. Come on, you don't smell that shit? And
Right.
but that's private and that's very intimate, not sexual. Very intimate, meaning I care about you enough. I care about you enough, but get out of that delusion that everything's fine. You come on now, quit. You, your attitude. What are you doing right now? The attitude. What's going on? But at the same time, if I'm reckless with it, then I actually add to the chaos. I add to their chaos. So yes, I'll anyone who knows, when you do your research on me, you'll see keeps it real, it's honest, raw, keeps it real honest. So that is no problem. But at the same time, we need to be tactful because, especially if they did not choose that behavior, who chooses their behavior? What man chooses to be angry and blow up and want to beat everyone up? Who chooses to cheat? Who chooses these behaviors? They might want to. They choose the payoff, like yeah, but no one wanted to grow up and say, "Oh, I can't wait one day till I'm in a treatment center. Oh, I can't wait one day till I'm taking medication for mental health. Oh, I can't wait one day till I'm 400 pounds and I don't even know how I blew up. Oh, I can't wait one day till I." Yeah, no one asked for these things, but now that we have it, we're responsible for how we manage it. But I want to
Right.
be responsible in how I tell you about it. And after the first time I was sharing with you, hey, come on. But you know what's crazy, Coach K? And we got to go. You know what's crazy
Right.
and hurtful?
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what's crazy and hurtful is when I do what little podcast says, and then someone has the nerve to say they were abused, they were hurt, and then the people who say you needed to hear it that way don't say a word. Or if I go too far, the people who are watching me, they watch me fall, they watch me fail. The people who say they're with me, they watch. Well, if you heard that I was, if I was like, bitch, you need to then shut it. But you, Mr. Nono, you're responsible for your own. But I can't see beyond the tip of my nose like any one of us. I can't see, and so I thought, now I know. And that makes me want to reduce the amount of times. Not only do I not keep it real, I don't say shit at all. That makes me want to reduce that. And then I have an internal fight because the warrior in me that says, I will die on that blade, because I feel like that's my mission now. No one made it my mission, but since I adopted that idea, I have an internal fight. And I left the show one time. Sean, I forgot his name, but he was in there fighting with Game Changer and da da da. And I was like, this is some bullshit. Good night. Boop. And the second after I left, tears running down my eyes. You bitch. And I went to the next show. I begged Real Precious, please have a part two. And I was ready for Game Changer. I'm not a fighter, but let's
Right.
woo, right? But it didn't have to be that. I came ready for a fight. And then
Right.
Game Changer was so smooth, he just worked that shit right around me and I wrapped myself in my own spell. So,
Right. Right.
right? So you have to know yourself. I went into there and like, But my point was, I was determined not to let Sean have to fight for himself. I would never let another brother fight like fighting stupidity. Like why? And Sean and then my whole thing is not only what was being said to Sean, it was what we didn't say in order to protect anyone, even games, no matter who it is. The one who's
Right.
doing the fighting. If I stand idle, I walk away feeling like you, because my DNA says you don't leave,
Right.
if you run. So
Right.
anyway, I hope that makes sense. It could be defensive, but that is my defense. And I totally agree with Little Podcast. But again, my whole point is a way of telling someone and making it clear. And then there's a way of telling someone 900 times and it's still not clear. So either way, I want to find that balance.
And I will say I like to make sure before I point my fingers or whatever, I like to make sure that, like I was talking about at the beginning of the show with my clients or even my spouse, if we're in a fight, I like to have a clean mind about it. Because
Hmm.
of course, like, I'm not thinking fluffy thoughts all the time. Like,
Hmm.
sometimes I do want to be mad at you, but I want to
Hmm.
make sure that I'm coming from a place where I'm being intentional about it and I'm consciously choosing these thoughts.
Yes.
Because then from there, oh, I guess he dropped, but I'll finish with that. But then from there, I will proceed and say, okay, this is what you did. This is how I feel about it, things like that. But again, I want to make sure that I'm coming from a clean space, have my emotions together, my thoughts together, and, then I'll go from there. But I know we're going to end the show. And I wanted to say one last thing too, kind of in line with what we were talking about, that even the top athletes in the world still have coaches. So, um, Lou Medic asked if we see experts or if we see coaches. Yes, for sure. Therapists, yes, for sure. We still have a human brain. Even if you're the best athlete in the world, you're still going to have a coach. You're still going to be, you're not going to be perfect. You're still going to have flaws, and you're going to be refining your skill, whatever it is. So that's the same thing in terms of how you handle your mental health and your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, and all of that. So that's something I want to encourage everyone. There's nothing wrong with you, um, in terms of, coming from a coach. But if you want to optimize what you're doing, or even figure out what you're doing and change it, well, that's where a coach comes in. So anyhow, well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Little Podcast, Lady Navoa, my girl, OGJ Speed, Lou Medic, thank you again. Dragonfly Jones, Alexis from Texas, Reckless Ray, beautifully animated, and all the rest. Thank you all for being here. Catch us next Thursday. Oh, and CBN being in the back. Catch us back here next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central, for all the mental health conversations. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you next time. Take it away, CBN.
go, go, go. Fire by night and a pillar of vapor by day. Walk through the desert, but when you admire the light, see the villains are paper mache. I'm on the way to the promised land, no contraband. I'm an honest man, I'm coming. Y'all met me, I'm set free, playing my part like the Red Sea. Man, I'm from heaven, I'm here with my brethren. The volume's 11, now we're getting rowdy. Swing from the scaffolding, spiritual happenings, miracles are all around me. This ain't no balcony, I'm in the front row.